So your spouse, the woman to whom you are married, was in the first not Rabba Sarah graduating class, which I think was in 2012, 2013. And I'm curious what her process in choosing a title was, because everything was far more fraught then than it is now. Now I feel like, 100 graduates, like there's nothing special here. This is just normal now.
She did start with the title Maharat, which I think was very useful for the types of work that she was doing, where there was a little bit of hesitation, especially in 2013, 2014. But then as people got comfortable with her within the congregation, she had a better ability to articulate who she was and what she was doing. She made that shift to the title Rabba, and she wrote an article about it and explained her process. And I'm not going to speak for her. You can go and read it. But in short, it was really saying, like, look, this is probably the more accurate and more apt title. And now that other people are using it, it's time to really, recognize the work that I'm doing and put it in the pantheon of all other works that's happening.
And what was her first job? Because she got a shul job pretty early, which is kind of a big deal.
So if you look at the timeline of women in the rabbinate, women in clergy positions in the Orthodox community, you start seeing decades ago the desire to have women serve in these roles, but not even having women learning for ordination, let alone thinking that you could. So they would start using the titles like, for example, like congregational intern or community scholar. And so her first job actually was in 2007 in Chicago. And she was the director she was basically called director of education.
Was she well received? Was it just like normal and everybody was like, or was there like a lot of excitement that there was like a woman on the clerical staff?
I remember in Chicago in the first job,
clergy
there was
staff.
Always a few people, for example, that would walk out of shul anytime she spoke. And this is like 3, 4, 5 years in. They would just like refuse, and they would do it in a semi-respectful way, but then even then it wasn't so much. But those people eventually like moved on. If they really had a problem with it, they stopped coming or they stopped like really dealing with it. But for the most part, there's always apprehension, and then there's a shift.
I think also, like, at this point in 2025, I have very little patience for the people who get up and walk out personally. And as I was deliberating whether or not I wanted to do this, for me, a huge reason for why I opted into this program was the learning. I was like really excited about the learning and somebody teaching me and being challenged and learning how to do a new thing. And also, the program that I was in was really just studying halacha. It wasn't the pastoral pieces. There's like a lot more in the full core, full-time Maharat program, but this was just studying halacha. And it felt sort of like a feminist choice for me, because it is my understanding that in other Orthodox institutions that grant smicha, that it's just studying halacha and getting tested in it. And so for me, I was like, well, I can learn how to do this thing just as well as any man. I am going to do this because I can. And if they can, I can.